Alright, good people of the interweb, I have returned again, and, you know, I felt we needed to have chat. I felt like we needed to talk about something. Well, I need to talk about some things, and, you know, hopefully you'll be on board for the ride with me while I discuss things. And, you know, some of it's lighthearted, some of it is going to be pretty serious. And if you're new to the channel, if this is your first time experiencing one of my videos, this is not a reaction video. You know, and those of you who regularly watch my videos, obviously this is not a reaction video, and, you know, there's not going to be any editing aside from, you know, color grading and, you know, a background. Woohoo! But yeah, so first off, I just want to point out, like, a funny thing that no one caught on to, and I was hoping so much that at least one person would, like, say, like, notice and maybe say something, or, you know, make the connection and be like, I don't know if you meant to do this or not, or, you know, I noticed something funny. So, you know, I did that reaction to the Tom McDonald song, I'm Sorry, and, you know, the last line of the song was, your death threats are ghost stories. Now, so, I already, you know, I think that's kind of clever, because his first album was called Death Threats, you know, and then the new album is called Ghost Stories. So it's like, your death threats are ghost stories. That was kind of cool. You know, I don't know if, well, of course he intentionally did that. Of course he did. But, so, you know, it ended with ghost stories. That was the last word. Then the video I did after that was a reaction to the album trailer for Ghost Stories, which featured a ghost-like thing in it, you know, in a sheet. So then the video I did after that was Ginger Judgment and Punishment, which also had a scene where, you know, the dude kind of became, you know, he was in the sheet, you know, it was the, you know, ghost in the sheet kind of. You saw the video, you know. But so there's Ghost Stories that goes into Ghost Stories, and the thumbnail had a ghost into, you know, another story that had a ghost with a ghost in the thumbnail, you know. So that little, I thought it was cool. I'm surprised no one mentioned it. But now, moving along to Chelsea Wolfe. I love Chelsea Wolfe. So I did a triple reaction feature to some of her stuff. You know, I did Be All Things and Deranged for Rock and Roll, and I kind of mashed the titles together and called the video Be All Deranged. But, you know, in the title it said triple reaction feature, and, you know, there were only 2 reactions in that video. And, you know, all through the video I had little flashes of Easter eggs and the words that said the end in different ways in different places, you know, and I was really hoping that more people would catch on to that, because, like, if you get to the very end of the video, there's like a big Easter egg thing, and you know, I point down, there's a big red arrow, it's like, read the description. If you go all the way down to the end of the description, there's a secret link to an unlisted video that's another reaction video. Now, I know this didn't get, I guess maybe people just didn't watch the whole video, which is understandable. I'm not mad. I know my videos are long as shit. You know, you gotta have, like, a massive level of patience, or just be really bored to be able to watch my whole videos. And I get it, you know. But, you know, the number of views on the main video in comparison to the number of the views on the hidden videos, or the hidden video, less than 10% of the people who viewed the main video ever got to the other video. And The other video, it was a different kind of reaction video. It was a different kind of video altogether. I think it was pretty cool. I'm probably just going to have to unlist it because I don't really think it's going to get much traction or get discovered otherwise. But, you know, I wanted to do something like fun and interactive and just like kind of cool. Like, oh, nobody's done this. This is awesome. You know, but, you know, again, I get these weird ideas and I envision them going much differently than they actually end up going. And, you know, whatever. But it is disheartening that Chelsea Wolfe, any of my Chelsea Wolfe videos are not getting anywhere near the views that like other videos are getting, you know. And it's not even about me. Like I'm not concerned about the views for like my own benefit, you know. Like it's not like I want my video in particular to be getting views. It's the fact that it is Chelsea Wolfe and she deserves a lot more recognition than she gets as far as like online presence goes. Like there hardly any reaction channels ever do anything with Chelsea Wolfe, you know. And the reactions that I do, trying to like push her and promote her and bring her to like audiences that may not be familiar with her, you know, it's sad that more people don't know about her. And I want that to change. And I know there's people that agree with me. I've had this conversation with people. But yeah, so those are just a couple of things that I was thinking about that, you know, I wanted to share. Oh, and also the fact that I'm really excited about the Patreon request videos that I'm working on right now. I know I've said it a few times, you know, that I'm working on these videos, but I'm putting a lot into these videos, like as far as like time and effort and creativity. Like I'm getting weird, and it's a lot of fun, you know. And given the amount of time that it's taking me and that I'm spending on them, that's why I keep throwing up these little one-offs that I can, you know, knock out in, you know, a couple of hours. Because sometimes, plus I just need a break. You know, when you work on the same video for like hours and hours and hours, you know, you just need something fresh. But, you know, and that was kind of the deal with the Halsey video. You know, I took a break, you know, wanted to refresh my YouTube homepage, which is usually the case. That's how this kind of stuff ends up happening. You know, I saw Halsey and I was like, oh, okay, cool. That, and, you know, the whole, I think I kind of explained it in the video about the connection, you know, with being bipolar and all, and that, you know, being my initial thing. But yeah, in the Mayhem reaction, just because, you know, I haven't really done any black metal, and I need to do a lot more. But yeah, the Mayhem video was so weird. There was some stuff I thought about including after I got done with it, you know, and before I ever posted it, you know, I went back and watched what I had done, and I was like, it brought back a lot of memories. Some like mainly painful memories because of the associations, but you know, I had a very dear friend that was a huge Mayhem fan, that died a couple years ago, you know, and it was really sad. And the irony is, you know, she was a huge Mayhem fan, but her funeral was on Dead's birthday, the singer for Mayhem back in like the beginning of Mayhem, like, you know. Anyway, his name was Dead, you know, or his stage name was Dead, and her funeral was on his birthday. So that kind of hit home for me a little bit. And then another friend that recently passed, she had recorded herself singing Shakespeare's Sonnet 57, and she sang it, and it was I loved it. And, you know, I asked her, I was like, can we turn this into a black metal song? Like, I'll write all the guitars, the bass, the drums, you know, and I'll write it like fucking black metal, like Mayhem style. And, you know, at the time, I was, the Esoteric Warfare album I absolutely love, and I was listening to that album, and it was very, I guess, inspiring me musically. And so I kind of took that and I ran with it, and we recorded this, and it was really cool. Yeah, you know, it's like I made those associations, and I decided against putting them in the video. But you know, it's been heavy on my mind since, so I felt like I should just get it out, because I don't really talk to people about things and stuff. Don't really talk to people very much at all. It kind of sucks sometimes. But so on to the more serious note of this video, and this may be kind of comical, but I don't know what. So as far as time is concerned, I'm always making jokes, you know, real dark jokes about my job, and, you know, wanting to die, and, you know, always putting little like subliminal clips about death and, you know, things of that nature in my videos, and I always talk about not having any time to do what I want to do, and just, you know, the hellish work schedule and all this and all that, and just how miserable I am. I am absolutely miserable at that job. Like, the level of discomfort, the level of anxiety, the level of depression, like everything, like as soon as I walk through the door, it's just this consuming, gnawing, like feeling of being trapped and terrified. And I've been dealing with it for years, and I've been telling everyone for years that I'm going to leave, like that I can't take it, you know, and it has pushed me and caused me to spiral out on numerous occasions. It has put me at the verge of suicide on numerous occasions. You know, like, okay, so now I'm going to bring the whole like bipolar issue into this. So I am diagnosed bipolar 1 or bipolar type 1 with rapid cycling. And, you know, even though the ultradian cycling course specifier is not in the DSM, and it's not an official course specifier as of yet, and, you know, there's still a little bit of debate in the, you know, psychiatric medical community as to whether or not it's, you know, a real thing, like if it's just mood lability or if it's complete mood state changes, you know, is beside the point. Like, I know what I experience. I know what it's like when I switch moods and the symptoms that come with the moods, and specific things that can trigger these cycles. And, you know, I suffer a lot from mixed episodes. Now, as far as episodes are concerned, you know, you have, you know, hypomania, you have mania, like full-blown mania, and you have, of course, depression. And the depression is generally very severe. there is dysthymia. It's kind of like in the bipolar spectrum. It's a less severe form of depression, but people with bipolar type 1 or bipolar type 2 generally don't experience dysthymia. They experience, major depression. And, that's the same with like hypomania and mania. And it's a differentiating factor between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Bipolar 2 never reach full-blown mania. They experience hypomania, but they spend more time in depression. But episodes, you hear a manic episode or depressive episode, and the way that sounds, if you don't have any knowledge of this disorder or how it works and affects people, episode sounds like something small. It's like if someone says they're going into a manic episode, people think, oh, okay, so this person's going to be really hyper for a couple hours, or this person's going to be hyper today. When the reality of the situation is an episode like mania, it typically lasts a week or two, like full-blown mania, but it can last longer. Depression, an episode, when you have a depressive episode, they can last like 3 or 4 months. And that's it. Not even that is guaranteed. It could be longer, it could be shorter, but episodes, it's not like, a moment-to-moment thing, unless you ultradian cycle, or ultra rapid cycle, which is just under ultradian cycling. But it is possible. But even between cycles, like, if you're in a manic cycle or a manic episode, and you go into a euthymic episode for 2 months before you hit like another manic cycle or a manic episode or depressive episode, a euthymic episode is a period where your symptoms are minimal and there's some sense of normality. You're not feeling like manic or hypomanic, and you're not feeling depressed. Like, it's sort of a level, like a baseline, a mood baseline. But you can still, and most likely will, display symptoms of the disorder, like the restlessness and irritability of mania. That can still be present. And the suicidal ideation that comes often with the depression. You could be having the greatest day in the world, and just suddenly some suicidal thought pop into your mind. And of course, you're not feeling like you're going to act on it, but it is there. And it's just one of those things that will always be in, at the back or forefront of your mind. Whatever it is in that moment, suicidal ideation is a very prevalent factor in bipolar disorder. But yeah, so for me, there's a lot of things that can trigger episodes, and environmental factors, diet and exercise, like all of these things play a huge role in maintaining some sort of management when it comes to the disorder, and medication, treatment, of course, therapy, like all of that. But if you're constantly in a toxic environment, and your schedule is like changing, and all the stimulation you have, the whatever you're hearing, and visualizing, whatever you're doing physically, like all of these things factor in. And for me, mania, like full-blown mania, I feel like most people, you get that feeling of invincibility, but rather than feeling, I do feel super productive as well, but in a kind of a negative way. Like, I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm so happy about my life, I'm gonna get this, and this done. It's like, I'm gonna do this, and this out of fucking spite. Like, I get irritable. Like my anger it becomes uncontrollable, and just anything will set me off for no reason. And like the stupidest things, the tiniest little things that no one in their right mind would get upset over, I will freak out. And it sucks, and I hate it so much because like people don't understand, and they think that I'm just crazy or being like super dramatic. And it's shit that I have no control over, and it's embarrassing. And it makes it then it just spirals out into, then I start feeling bad about myself for not being able to control it. And all I'm thinking is, what are other people thinking? And that's making me feel worse about myself, and that fuels that suicidal ideation. This is such a progressive and just unrelenting illness on so many levels. Fuck. But yeah, so my schedule was changing a lot at work. The hours kept increasing, and then it'd be like, okay, well, tomorrow we're going to do this. And then it's like, so we're on this schedule for, a few days. Well, and, it fucked up my sleep patterns constantly. And that's one thing you absolutely cannot do if you have bipolar disorder. You cannot disrupt your sleep patterns, because that will send you into an episode. And you never know what episode you're getting. It's like luck of the draw. Like you come out of a manic episode and you think, okay, well, I'm gonna level out, but you drop directly into a depressive episode, and then you come out of it for a bit and you're like, well, I guess I'm about to be manic again, and then right back into another depressive episode instead of mania. Like, you never know. Or you go into a fucking mixed episode, and that's where I am. That's where I've been. And that's the problem with rapid cycling or ultra cycling or ultradian cycling, is the frequency of the mixed episodes. And mixed episodes are the worst and are the most dangerous, because what happens is you simultaneously experience mania and depression. So it's confusing. It is so confusing and so terrifying, because you're depressed as shit. You don't understand life. You don't want to be alive, but you have all of this energy and irritability and restlessness all at the same time. So it's like that. Your risk of suicide jumps drastically. Like you become a high risk. I am labeled as a high risk. My doctor last week wrote me down as a high suicide risk. It sets me in, this perpetual mixed state. And even my doctor last week, she's like, you are in a mixed episode. Like, it's obvious. And she was like, we need to get you stabilized, like ASAP. Like, I'm worried right now. And, for good reason. She was 100% right, and, in what she was seeing, and to worry. She's 100% right. The other day I went into work, and I had this plan. I had this awesome idea that had popped into my head the night before, and I was like, fuck, this is it. This is brilliant. This is what, yes. So, my manager is about to leave and go out to lunch, and I'll stop her. I'm like, hey, let me holler at you for a second. And I was like, listen, the 27th, like, I'm calling it. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, this is my resignation right now, officially. Like, I'm done on the 27th. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to do the right thing, the respectful thing, and, I'll stay here 2 weeks and train someone for my position. I was like, but after that, I'm gone. Like, I can't do it anymore. So she understood, because I got into the things that I'm talking about now, because I recently, a few months ago, I disclosed my diagnosis to my work because I was afraid that they would, my symptoms, like they were just going to think that I was an asshole or there was something, that was crazy. Like, I don't know. But, I wanted to protect myself, and I wanted for them to have an explanation as to some of my behaviors. But so, she said she understood but didn't want to lose me, and, maybe there was another way, maybe we could figure something out. So she came up with the idea of a possible, like, medical leave. And I said I was open to that, but, I couldn't make any promises as to whether or not I would even come back, or if I did, that, I'd be able to stay, like I could come back and, be there for a few days and just spiral back out again and then leave. But so I told the main boss, the boss that's above her, I pulled her to the side. I'm like, hey, listen, I tried to put in my resignation. The manager had this other idea, so I'm going to tell you. She was like, no, I second that idea. I don't want to lose you. Like, you're more than just an employee. I consider you a friend, and your presence here means a lot to everyone. Like, you're a valuable asset, and, you bring a lot of, positivity here, which kind of blew my mind because I feel like I do the exact opposite. But it was just funny because, like, before the whole medical leave idea even came into play, my plan, what I was envisioning in my head, was I was going to quit. I was going to do my 2-week thing, then I was going to quit. I don't have anything else lined up. My YouTube channel, obviously, realistically, I don't have a large enough subscriber base or monetized videos, enough of either to, like, warrant being able to do this full time, like to be able to afford to do this. And I know it would take a very long time to get to that point, and it was time that I didn't envision myself having. And with no other job lined up or anything else, my plan, what I was thinking is I'll just quit. I will find a loving home and people, person, whatever, to take my cat, and I'm just gonna make a bunch of YouTube videos, basically like an archive documenting like my life, my reactions, just like sharing music with people, putting my thoughts and opinions out into the universe. Like, it was going to be something for people to be able to look back upon, and maybe go out and do some crazy things that I've never done but always wanted to do, and just live off everything I have saved up until it runs out. I've got tickets to see Chelsea Wolfe in November, and I'd of course do that. But then once the money ran out, that was gonna be it. I was just gonna end it all, and it seemed like such a fucking beautiful idea. I don't want to say poetic because there's nothing really poetic about it, but to me it was just beautiful. And I don't know why I've rethought that, but I have. And it's like I was telling, like, the head boss. She was like, well, I worry about you. I don't want anything to happen to you. She's like, but maybe with this medical leave, she was like, we can give you a few days off. And I was just like, you're really not understanding. Like, you're missing this. Like, this is not a few days, level out, problem solved kind of situation. Like, I am suicidal right now. I stay suicidal while I am here. Like, literal, not like, oh, this job sucks. I just want to die. Like, no, I want to die. I want to be dead. I don't want to live anymore. Like, seriously. Like, that's, I'm trying to put that out there, I was like, that, bare minimum, if I were to do this, bare minimum would be like 2 months is what I would need to really level back out to where I feel okay to be here again. And even then, you know, like I was saying earlier, there's no guarantee that I'm not going to immediately spiral back out because of the environment. And, you know, it could potentially be worse. You know, I could spiral out in like 2 days, be like, fuck it, and like put a knife in my neck. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know if like tomorrow, I could wake up tomorrow and not want to be here, but like be willing to act upon it. You know, it's moment to moment. Like, I don't know. I don't fucking know right now. Like, right now, in this moment, I don't feel like I want to act upon it. I've got ideas of things that I want to do and maybe create some chance of a life, or not necessarily a life, but just some moments of happiness or contentment on some level. You know, just a chance at not being miserable, a chance at like not wanting to die for more than like 5 minutes. You know, I want that chance. Like, I want to experience, you know, something else, something better. But I don't know how long this is going to last. Like, I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't know what the day after holds. Like, I'm just tired of thinking about fucking dying all the time. I'm tired of wanting to die all the fucking time. Tired of being alone. I don't know how to be around people, though. You know, that's one of the things with my job. It's like they constantly cycle through temps, you know, and when we get new temps, if I have to train them, it makes me so fucking uncomfortable. Like, my skin is just like crawling because I just hate having to like interact with people I don't know. And I don't know. It's crazy, but I mean, I don't know. I'm so fucking detached. Like, just like being around people, it fucks with me. You know, there's so many little like sub illnesses, mental disorders that kind of shoot off, like spawn off from bipolar disorder. You know, when you spend too much time isolated, and or you have too much stimulation from certain environmental factors and things like that. You know, like you get things like, you know, agoraphobia, panic disorder, like all sorts of things like that. You know, general anxiety disorder, and it sucks. It really sucks, like a lot. But you know, that's where I'm at. You know, it's scary right now, you know, because like my medication doubled last week to try to like stabilize me and keep me from committing suicide. But you know, when I think about the factor, or not the factors, but the facts, the statistics. Statistically, I'm the odds don't look too good for me. You know, if I'm just being real and I'm being fucking honest about it. You know, if you take the population of people with bipolar disorder, you fully encompass bipolar 1, bipolar 2, and, you know, cyclothymia, dysthymia, all that, you put all that together, you know, and fully encompass that entire population, 25, over 25, and I don't know that number's the same now. You know, this is from a few years ago. You know, that number, you know, is like over 25% of people with some type of bipolar disorder end up committing suicide. That 25 doesn't sound like that big of a number, but when you really think about it, 25%, that's kind of a big deal. That's a bigger number, way bigger number than it needs to be. There is an epidemic of suicide right now. You know, was like 800,000 people a year alone in the U.S. End up committing suicide. You know, and that's like someone every 40 seconds. That's an epidemic. But if you break down the bipolar population and go by categories and age and bipolar type, and you know, you get to me, you know, someone my age, who's bipolar type 1 with rapid cycling, who went years off of their meds, who has been on first generation antipsychotics, and has had a history of substance abuse and attempted suicides, the percentage rate for me, as far as suicide is concerned, is stupid high. I promise you, it is way over 50. Way. You know, not much under 100. I'm just going to say that. I don't know the exact number, but I know. Anyway, you know, if anybody else has any experience, okay, so today is officially the last day of National Suicide Prevention Week, and this is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So, you know, I felt this was important to discuss given my present situation, and, you know, as someone who advocates for awareness of mental health issues. If you know someone who is feeling suicidal or has talked about suicide or being suicidal or made references that might indicate that they are, or, you know, they're displaying things that are unusual or different for them in behaviors, talk to them. You know, reach out, because we don't.